we continue what I am saying. I am saying about the so-called agent-based approach. In agent-based approach, it won't give importance to consequences or non-consequences, right? Rather than this, it gives importance to the so-called individual ethics, right? Individual morality. What it says is, it is the conscience which should be deciding whether an action should be correct or not. It says that if individuals are following their conscience, conscience is a virtue. As a result, then there will be every action will be ethical. So it says that one has to follow their own conscience in every action for an action to be ethical. If you are following your conscience, then that action is going to be ethical. If you are going against your conscience, then that action is going to be unethical, right? That is what determinants of ethics is, dimensions of ethics is, right? In dimensions of ethics, we are going to study whether an action is ethical or whether an action is unethical. Only two things we are going to study, right? Ethical action followed by based on your conscience. Unethical if you are not following your conscience. So this is what agent based. Agent means individual based approach. Now, in this, what I said, virtue ethics. This is also known as virtue ethics. Now, in this, you have thinkers like Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle in the Western world. What I said to them is, what we discussed about them is, they said that, Plato particularly, they said them that it is the society is individual writ large. Your society is just a composition of individuals. Hence, in the individuals, if there has to be ethics, then it is the individual morality which is going to play crucial role. Hence, he says that every individual should be moral, should follow their conscience. Then only the society is going to be ethical. This is their concept. In the Indian context, it is Gandhiji who said this. Gandhiji's follower is Babu Rajendra Prasad. He said that in the context of Constitution of India. Right? There is no such thing called good or bad constitution. If the people who are at work constitutes a good lot, then the constitution is going to be a good thing. If the people who are at work constitutes a bad lot, then the constitution is turning out to be bad. Now, Gandhiji says that here the philosophy of Gandhiji is very important. What Gandhiji says is, every individual contains human soul, right? Any organic component contains soul, and the best component of soul is it is an embodiment of dharma. It knows what is right, it knows what is wrong, which means soul is having conscience, and that conscience is the best guide for ensuring whether an action is right or wrong. Hence, he says that every individual has to follow his own soul. In the same context, Gandhiji criticizes the state. He says that Gandhiji and Karl Marx both says that state is not necessary. State is not necessary. Why they say state is not necessary? Karl Marx says it because state is functioning for capitalists. So leave it. So Karl Marx, he has nothing to do with ethics here. Rather, Gandhiji concept of state is related to ethics. What he says is, state is a soulless machine, soulless institution. Once it is soulless, it doesn't know what is dharma, what is adharma. Now it can, depending on the time, it can perform dharmic activity or it can perform adharmic activity. Hence he says that it is the right of the individual, it is the dharma of the individual to protect or to protest against the state if it is doing something adharma, right? For this to protest against the state, the individual has to reach some enlightenment. That is, he should know what is his conscience, he should always follow that. So when individuals in the state is reaching that position called enlightenment, then that stage is called enlightened anarchy. Though this is anarchy, there will be no jungle raj here. The reason is your people will be enlightened. So the ultimate goal of Gandhiji, the end of Gandhiji, this is what I said, the end of Gandhiji is enlightened anarchy, not independence. Gandhiji always said that if you are going to get independence, British is just going to be replaced by the Indians, but the system is going to be similar. People who are exploited will continue to get exploited over a period of time. So the reason what they say is, what he says is, independence is not replacement of political heads, rather it is reaching the enlightened anarchy stage by all the individuals. Hence he says that state is not necessary. As the British state is doing adharmic principles, Gandhiji supported the so-called non-cooperation movement and Quit India movement or civil disobedience movement. They are the movements directly aimed at the state, which is a soulless mission, right? So this is called, what I'm saying, this is called agent based approach. Now again consider the same case study that I said, whether it is as an officer, whether you are entitled to give ration or not. If someone is not, if a genuine beneficiary is not having Aadhaar, or if a genuine beneficiary is not having the ration card, right? Then as per the agent based approach, it is human soul. Human soul always says that yes, you have to follow your conscience. If your conscience is picking up to give her by looking at the destitute condition of the poor woman, then give it to her. Then you have to substantiate it as per agent based approach, it is correct, right? That is the thing. So in the end, what I mean to say is, in the dimensions of ethics, this is not just important for your answer writing, but substantiations of answers is very important here. Someone was asking on the first day, sir, some thinkers have said this, some thinkers have said that, right? Yes, that is a benefit to us, because whenever you are writing an answer, you have to take a stand. And which stand you are arguing, your stand should be based on these persons. Either it can be consequences, or either it can be non-consequences, or it can be on agent-based approach. If it is consequentialism, again, this is classified into deontological approach of the, sorry, it is classified as utilitarianism or egoism or common good approach, that is sarvodaya, right? If it is non-consequentialism, it is based on deontological approach or duty based approach. Next one is rights based approach. You can justify an action based on this, or agent based approach following conscience. But definitely every year there is one question on this angle. Not only one question, your case study is dealing with these things. They will ask in any case study, they will ask only this thing. What is the course of action that you are going to take? What are the merits in this case? What are the demerits in every course? Right? They will ask what are the course of action that you are going to take? What are the merits in that course? What is the demerits? How can you write merits and how can you write in demerits? Just by bringing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. By just these 6 principles, you are going to substantiate all those merits, all those demerits, right? This is the thing. So this is very, very important. I said your quotations plus your current affairs, which are in news about great personalities and dimensions of ethics, is the most important thing for substantiation of answers. So this is the way in which you can think whenever you are supporting an answer. Don't write just out of style that this is correct, this is wrong. Mention why it is right, as per which theory it is right, as per which theory it is wrong, right? After this, In these dimensions of ethics, you have one more thing that is called, it is not here, rather it is based on Weberian concept. Max Weber says that bureaucrats or the administrators has to follow duty-based approach. So he says that whenever there is some conflict between public versus private, right? Public versus private life, then as an administrator, you should give, in the public, you should always follow duty-based approach. That we'll study tomorrow, because the next concept is related to ethics in public and private life. Now, what I wanted to discuss one more thing today is, I hope your dimensions of ethics are clear. I discussed about ethics, essence of ethics, consequences. Both have both determinants of ethics, space, time, interpersonal makeup, that is personal characters, and then it is going to depend upon your dimensions of ethics. Determinants, in one determinant you have dimensions of ethics. So you can write all these under the determinants. Again, dimensions of ethics, they were classified into 3 types subcomponents that we discussed. In the dimensions, again, whenever you are dealing about duty-based approach, there is one fellow called Weberian who thinks differently in a different context and says that if you are an officer, it is most important to follow duty-based approach rather than your other approaches. That we will discuss in ethics in public and private relationship. This is how the relation, or this is how the syllabus is fixed. Now, what I wanted to say today is, I just wanted to, I will give from today, I will give one question, right? I'll tell you how to write a case study. What is the framework for case study? Just remember this case study. Whatever the case it is, you have to give introduction, you have to address the questions. That's it. And you have to give conclusion. Now, in the introduction of the case study, you can do 2 things. Either you can give a precise writing of the given case, or you can link that case study to a topic in the theory of syllabus. There are 2 ways to start case study. One is, whatever the big paragraph that they give in the case, you can, or you should write very precisely without deviating the message. Or what you can do is, by just going through that, there will be something in the theory, that is all the about syllabus, right? Theory means this. Up to this is theory, right? This is case study. So what you have to do is, the moment you see the case, you should understand to which theory in the above the case is relating to, right? So what you have to do is, you have to either write about the theory. Okay, this case study is speaking about or testing about the emotional intelligence, which requires the empathy of the administrator. You can give a short introduction like that, right? Or you can write precise writing. But in majority of the circumstance, if you are able to understand the theory means theory part, not these dimensions of ethics. Dimensions of ethics is theoretical aspect, but theory means case study is practical, right? You're like practical approach. Whereas theory means until that case studies, whatever the above topics are there. Immediately, if you study the case, if your syllabus is in your brain, you will just immediately get to know, okay, this is the case, this case is related to this subject or this topic in the syllabus. You have to give a brief idea about that concept in the theory. So introduction of the case study, there are only 2 ways: give the precise writing and theory of the syllabus. But don't forget to give introduction. Introduction is very important for the case study. That is first thing. The second thing is, right, in any case study, there will be stakeholders. Someone's who is a stakeholder, a fellow or a group of people whose interests are at stake. So just give a brief idea about, okay, who are the stakeholders by just drawing one diagram. If there are 5 stakeholders, write a pentagon. If there are 6, write a hexagon. If there are 3, write a triangle. Try a triangle and show that. No need to write. Right? Give a brief idea about who are the stakeholders. Stakeholders ante who are the stakeholders? Stakeholders are the people whose interests are at stake. You and me are not going to be stakeholders always. Everybody interest aithe hurt avutundo vaadu maatrame stakeholder aitadu. Don't write every person as a stakeholder. You should not write I am the stakeholder, my wife is the stakeholder, my children are stakeholder. No. Right? Who, in the case who is at, whose interests are at stake, you have to identify them and you have to give them. Some cases, some questions ask you to identify the ethical dilemmas in the case, or they will ask you ethical issues in the case. If they ask you to write this, you have to write this. Otherwise, it is up to you whether you want to write or whether you don't want to write. That is completely up to you. But if they ask, you should not miss it. After this, you have to come to the addressing questions. Whatever the question that they have asked, you address the question. Maximum questions, what they ask is, what is the correct course of action? What are the options that were available with you? Explain each and every option. 2, 3 positives and negatives, possible outcomes, and choose one with justification. Yes. Right? Maximum what they will ask is 1, 2, 3. In this case, what are the available options? They might ask you, or they themselves give you, these are the available options, evaluate them. Whenever you are evaluating them, write them like this: merits in this, demerits in this. First option, what are the merits that you have? What are the demerits? How can you write merits and demerits? By linking with theory, that is dimensions of ethics. Don't write unnecessarily out of your mind. You have to link with dimensions. You have to use some key terms, ethical terms, and then you have to write. Okay. So this is how you have to write. And in the conclusion, your stand. Whether they ask you or not, you have to give your stand on the case. How you are going to address. This has to be the approach to case studies. I repeat, what should be the approach for case studies? Any case study, it should have introduction. This is the framework. It should have stakeholders in a diagrammatical representation, ethical issues or dilemmas. If they ask, you have to represent, or it is your optional. If you want to give, you give. Otherwise, if the time is not permitting, leave it. Then go to the course of actions, that is available options. Available option number 1, how to write merits on one side, demerits on one side, and you have to write why that is a merit, why that is a not merit. You have to substantiate. For everything, you have to substantiate. Don't write on the aid. Right? So next one, available option 2. Third one, available option 3. And then once you are done with your available options, in the end, give your way. Your stand clearly what you are going to do. This is just the case study framework. For any case study, this has to be the framework and you have to do it. Now, in the introduction, I said there are 2 ways to write introduction. One way is precise writing of the case. Rather than this, the best approach will be linking with theoretical concept, linking with the topic in the syllabus, to which topic this case study belongs to. Once you get it, you can write whatever you have learnt in your topics. So this is the framework for writing case study, right? So from today, I will try to give one question. Maybe this is the case study. I will also ask you to write a case study, particularly of that ration card one. I'll just give that. Okay. For now, you just look at this. So this is what I wanted to tell you. Tomorrow, I am going to continue the syllabus, that is ethics in public and private life. But this is what the thing about dimensions of ethics. Dimensions, if they ask directly, that is completely fine. If they don't ask, you can substantiate. That is the point. That is the point today, right? Now, take this question for now. What is moral relativism? Do you think morality of moderates, extremists, and revolutionaries differed? Explain with example. What is moral relativism? Do you think the morality of moderates, extremists, and revolutionaries differed? Explain with example. Think about this. If you have any doubts, you can take the help of previous year questions also. The content material prepared by Rukmini, you can take that because there is one statement of Socrates, right? Relativism, about moral relativism. You can use that. Think about this. To which part it is related to? Syllabus, we have already discussed relativism, depending upon the space, depending upon the type, right? So more or less, this question is asking about the determinants of ethics, right? So take this question, try to write this and send it to me. I'll just go through that. And tomorrow I'll give you one case study. But case study approach is this, guys. Don't forget the case studies framework. Whenever you are writing, write in the same way. And guys, whenever you are sending me the answers, send it in PDF format. Very important. Many people are again sending me in the image format. The second thing is draw some margins, right? Write in some margins or give some space for margins so that I will be able to write my comments there and take the picture clearly here. Send some clarity pictures, okay? And then third one is take clarity pic, convert it into PDF and send it to me, write it in the margins. And then the third one is add one extra page, add one extra white page, okay? After your answer, so that I'll give you my brief comments at the end. So this should be the way in which you should be sending me. Please start writing answers because today already it is, you cannot write more than 25 days, even if you look from December 8th also, December 9th also. So write very fastly. Every day try writing one question. If you are writing 30 questions, I think it will be more than sufficient for now. Right? I hope you got this. Kingdom of Inns, I'll discuss tomorrow, Kavya. Is there any other thing that you want to write? Or you have any questions? Follow for PSR, what would be the one limit? Follow 20 and 50 mark questions. Same thing, Jay, you know, for 10 marker, they will give 150 questions. For 15 marker, you will be asked to write 250. For 20, you have to write 300, right? 300 marks. For 20 marker, you have to write 300 words. For 15 marker, you have to write 250. Because whenever you are writing mains, they will give the same space for 20 marker, irrespective of whether it is an optional or whether it is your GS. Any other question?